Easy guys, Dom here from Cringy Dad Gaming. So in this video I'm going to be sharing with you my early impressions of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas Definitive Edition. So this is just launched, and any of you who know anything about, GTA, Rockstar games, you follow that sort of thing, you're going to be aware of this, and this video might serve a purpose to you guys if you've not yet picked this game up because you're not sure, or if you just not got around to it yet but you just want to kind of get a rough idea of how the game plays, what it looks like, just that sort of stuff really. In this video I am just going to be talking openly about my feelings after playing probably about 3 hours of the game, so not a massive amount of time, but enough time for me to be able to distinguish the differences between the Definitive Edition and the original PC version, which I've played extensively across all three of those early GTA, so that's GTA 3, Vice City, and then San Andreas as an example. Now we'll be covering my thoughts and feelings on the other two games in a separate video. I thought I'd start with San Andreas because it does hold fond memories for me, and this is a really important thing about these games. For a lot of people, they're going to hold an awful lot of nostalgia. From playing this when it was first released in 2004, and just takes me back, man. Do you know what I mean? The game obviously is based on that early 90s kind of hip-hop rap kind of vibe, gang warfare, that sort of thing. So it's based in 1992, and for me in 1992 I was a teenager, and hip-hop was a new thing just coming across to the UK from the States, and this game has such a fantastic hip-hop soundtrack. It's that really early raw, sample based and drum machine based hip-hop, which really adds to the flavour of this game. But not just the soundtrack, but the likeable characters, the story is where this game really is at its strongest. Even now, at this point in time, the music and the writing of the narrative still holds up really well, in my personal opinion. It really does make you feel like you're part of a Grove Street gang, and it's just awesome to jump back in and get back into Grove Street.
Hey, there that fool go.
Look at this fool, man. Perpetrating like he banging.
Think he hard. Look at him.
Oh, I tell you.
I know that fool can't be serious.
Hey, what's happening with you, Jeffrey?
Hey, man, it's OG Loke, homie. OG Loke.
My bad. How was it though, homie?
Man, what you think? How was it?
Hey, chill out, dude. So what you want to do now?
Man, I gotta kill some chola motherfucker. He was dissing me, man.
Hey, Jeff, I thought you was going to, college.
Man, fuck you. Motherfucker done stole my rhymes. He's in East Flores. Hey, give me a strap.
Man, why don't you stall us out with that shit and get in the car, fool?
The game is not without its misgivings to a certain extent, and I know it's got to be expected because it's an old game. Like I said, it was released in 2004. It's relatively old, really. The fresh coat of paint that the developers have given the game really does make it look a lot more vibrant. The world is a lot more colourful, a lot less washed out than the original, and it's got a nice clean UI now. The map looks a lot more fresher, and just the way the foliage and general character models look, it does look a lot more updated. But if you're coming into this game after playing things like GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, expecting to get a similar experience here, fortunately you're going to be let down, guys, because it's an old game that they've just polished. There's still some things that are really janky in this game, and these GTA games were well renowned for it. Although they have made some updates to it, it's not going to play anything like the games that I've just mentioned, the more modern games. The game is still going to look dated to a certain extent. The world isn't as filled out as a lot of these newer worlds that are built on better engines, spending a lot more time creating these worlds like, the world of GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, where there's a lot more going on. But the game is still fun to play, despite the fact that there's probably not as much going on in the world in terms of crowds of people, cars on the road, that sort of thing. I'm going to be discussing some of the bugs that I've encountered early on, and they're not game breaking. Some of them are quite funny, and I think these early Grand Theft Auto games were always well renowned for bugs in the game actually giving you a laugh. I think the only thing really now that we can be thankful for is the fact that if Rockstar have now released this definitive edition and there's bugs popping up, there is more of a chance of them fixing them, where back in the day when we were playing this game on the console, that was it was done. If there was a bug in the game, it had to stay there on the disc forevermore. There was nothing you could do about it. So some of these bugs that I've encountered are really to do with things like the environmental textures not always loading in right, character skins not loading correctly, things like the necks of some characters looking really stretchy and warped when they move their heads. I've noticed that quite a lot in the game. I think they're minor to a certain extent. There's still some issues with things like the camera angles at some point. They're not very comfortable. You can't really look to the sides when you're running because the camera jitters around. It feels like it's kind of locked in place, and you're trying to force the camera to do something it doesn't want to do. That doesn't work really very well. And unfortunately, and this is a big one for me to a certain extent, the handling of the guns still not great in this game, but I think you'll probably get used to it quite quickly, and it's nothing like what you find in GTA 5 as an example. But the game still has a lot of character even with some of these bugs, just silly things like, police cars getting stuck and just constantly ramming into walls and running over pedestrians and, not giving a fuck about it. Do you know what I mean? It's quite funny sometimes to watch. And then you get some characters getting stuck in the world environment. I've seen characters falling through walls and disappearing into buildings through walls. And sometimes people's feet look like they're sunk into the ground when they're walking around. So there's all these odd little bugs that aren't game breaking, but you notice them and they're there. So for me, it's almost like looking at it this way. It's like you've got this old rundown wall. It's got a few holes and cracks in them, and you decide to put a fresh coat of paint over it, but not really fixing those problems that are actually there with the wall. But then as time goes on, the paint starts to fade slightly and the cracks start to appear. That's kind of how this feels at the moment. You can see that it's not perfect, but who really expects it to be perfect? I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, this game is just a whole lot of fun to play. Just running around and just mashing people up for no reason and getting into, fights with police and cars exploding and dying through silly ways, things like that you get in the game that makes it kind of more comedic to a certain extent. And I like the comedy elements of the Rockstar games, and you kind of forget, some of the comedy and the memes and things that were put into, say, San Andreas and things like that. But it's just little funny things like this, I was playing one of the missions where we were chasing down this guy on the bike and I crashed into the car, but it didn't do anything to me. But the guy on the back just literally Supermaned off the back of my bike, and he just literally disappeared off into the distance somewhere to never be seen again. And it was just hilarious. And I don't know why I found it so funny, but it just was. And I couldn't stop laughing for probably a good couple of minutes. I've had to play it in slow motion for you guys here, just so you can kind of see what happened. But at the time of it happening, it made me crease. And these are the little things that I love about the Grand Theft Auto games. And, these earlier games, they had all these little janky issues that would make you just laugh. So what I'm trying to get across, and my point is that this game isn't perfect. It's not going to be perfect. It's an old game that's been refreshed with a new look, but go in expecting some jankiness and some bugs and things like that. But overall, the game is still extremely fun to play, and the story is great. The soundtrack is great. I personally do feel it's a bit expensive. The definitive edition, the trilogy, if I'm honest, it's about £55 here in the UK, which might be nearly, I don't know, what is that, about $60 or something? $60 in the US maybe? Yeah, something around that sort of price range. You know, if you're a fan of the franchise and you want to get that nostalgia, like I do, from, you know, playing them when they first came out and then playing them again now with a fresh coat of paint, then, you know, you might be happy to pay that sort of money for it. For those of you who are not really wanting to jump into a game that may feel dated, even though it looks relatively fresh to a certain extent, and you may find some of the older mechanics, you know, a little bit tough to get your head around compared to newer games, then I don't necessarily think it's for you, and it might be just that you probably wait for a sale and try it out then. I mean, the fact that at the moment it's only available on PC through the Rockstar Games launcher means that if you was to buy it and play it through there, I don't know if you would be able to refund it if you wasn't happy with it, like you would on Steam. You know, Steam almost gives you a chance to play a game for an hour or two and then get a refund if you're not happy with it. But, you know, that's one of those things, guys. You know what I mean? I am going to be covering more of the Definitive Edition trilogy on the channel, and I think the game next up that I'm going to be playing is going to be Grand Theft Auto Vice City, because that is actually one of my favourite ones out of the three, if I'm honest, because I really love the 80s setting, and it just, yeah, for everything in that game come together for me. But if you would like to see more of the Definitive Edition as the games get played more and more and we get deeper into them, don't forget to like the video so I know you want to see more.
Listen to this.
Don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly subscribe, because the subscribing to the channel really does help support me as a creator, and I really do appreciate it. And if you're already subscribed, guys, then thank you very much, and thanks for sticking with me here on the channel. So let me know your thoughts about the Definitive Edition. If you think it's one worth the price, if you've played it, what you think about the overall gameplay, the updates that Rockstar have done to the game. Are you happy with it? Are you disappointed? Let me know down below in the comments. So I'll catch you guys on another video, and thanks for watching.
What's happening with you, Ryder?
Respect has to be earned, sweet, just like money.
So what you saying? You don't respect me?
What I'm saying is,
Speak up.
I'm hungry.
Ah, man. Hey, what's
Man
going
cannot
on?
live on bread alone. I know, I tried that shit. Carl, you look a little thin, man. You gotta be hungry, man.
Yeah, I
What
could
you
eat.
fools trying to eat?
That's
What
wrong.
about some tacos?
Tacos again? Hell no.
Chicken, man, no
Man, I
discussion.
don't want no chicken.